So how are we going to enforce that? We're going to have the TayTay police. The TayTay police going to be going around looking at people. My house. Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Joy from She Speaks Too. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, and make sure you subscribe. Press that subscribe button right now. I want to talk about a bill that was just recently passed in the House of Representatives in Liberia. This bill was unanimously passed to require mothers to breastfeed their children until they are 6 months old, saying that breastfeeding is a duty and not an option for able mothers. Pay attention, breastfeeding is a duty, okay? They argue that it is a right for every child to be breastfed for 6 months. And this bill is designed to nurture a strong relationship between mother and child. It says that most babies in Liberia receive plain water, other liquids, and foods in addition to breast milk during the first months of life, and so which contribute to malnutrition, illness, and even death. And only 5 out of 10 babies in Liberia are breastfed exclusively for 6 months. So this is aimed to make breastfeeding mandatory. They said the cost of not breastfeeding babies has enormous cost, and it costs Liberia $200,000 annually to treat children with diarrhea and pneumonia and type 2 diabetes in mothers that are not breastfeeding. So they're saying they will ensure a code of marketing of breast milk substitutes, meaning that you will not be seeing the formula ads, breast milk substitutes, feeding bottles, and teats. It is also aimed to ensure that breast milk substitutes are not shown. So basically, I'm just saying that they just passed a bill to make breastfeeding mandatory. And I know a lot of times people watch these videos and they want to find a reason to disagree or find a reason to argue. So let me just start off by saying this. I am a registered nurse. I do know that in most instances, breast milk is best. So I am not disputing that children who have breast milk, who have access to breast milk, breast milk gives natural immunity to babies. They're able to fight off diseases and illnesses, sicknesses, because mothers are passing their, I'm touching my breast here. Mothers are passing their immunity onto their children. I think it's called passive immunity whenever you breastfeed and you give your antibodies to your children. So it's a good thing. I am not disputing that by any means. So if you want to argue, don't argue with me, argue with your mom, because I acknowledge that in most instances, breast milk could be the best thing to do. But that is not always possible. We're going to talk about this bill that was passed, and I'm going to tell you why I think there are other things that we should have been passing besides this bill. So first of all, the childbirth mortality rate of Liberia is one of the highest in the world. So if you don't know what childbirth mortality rate is, that's meaning that more women die in childbirth in Liberia than other nations. We have one of the highest childbirth mortality rates. There was a woman, not a girl, who she was a Ebola fighter. She was a registered nurse. She was even put on the cover of Times Magazine, or I think it was Times Magazine, for her work during Ebola. They were honoring Liberian healthcare workers. Do you know that not much longer, this same nurse who survived Ebola died during childbirth? So we have one of the highest childbirth mortality rates in the world. So if you even survive childbirth to have a child in Liberia, you are now being told to breastfeed. The problem of mortality in childbirth is not even being looked at, but we're going to make you breastfeed. I think we have bigger problems in Liberia. I think we have bigger problems. We have a healthcare system that needs to be revamped. Everything needs to be rehauled. We need to look into that. So before we even put a band-aid on breastfeeding and saying this is what's best for babies, let's look at what's best for everyone healthcare wise. If I will die during childbirth if I'm more likely to die during childbirth more than any other nation, because we have one of the highest rates, don't tell me what to do afterwards. I barely made it to have this child. So that's where I stand on that. Number two, you're saying that this bill is saying that the mothers have to breastfeed for 6 months. So how are we going to enforce that? We're going to have the TayTay police. The TayTay police going to be going around looking at people. Maha oh your baby, you breastfeeding your baby. We locking you up. What is there going to be a fine? Is there jail time? How are we going to enforce this new bill that's being passed? We're going to have the police officers we have now. We don't have enough. You know, crime is on a rise in Liberia, but now we're going to have TayTay police. So the TayTay police, you're going to be going around looking for people. Mind you breastfeeding, you're not breastfeeding, you're going to jail. We have bigger things to worry about. Third thing. So I breastfed Asher. Asher is now 14. He turned 14 on the 26th. But I breastfed Asher. I had to go to work. So I bought a pump that I would plug in my office on my lunch breaks. Every about 2 or 3 hours, I would go pump. So when I did that, I had to plug it in. Then I had to pump. Then I had to store the milk in the refrigerator. And that was possible because I was in America and I didn't have to worry about LEC going out. So I had to store his milk in a refrigerator. Are you going to ensure that people have access to a breast pump because they cannot be with their child 24/7? Are you going to ensure that they have LEC in order to freeze that breast milk, in order to give it to their child whenever they are able to do that? Are you going to ensure that they have transportation? I'm not against breastfeeding, but I feel like we have bigger fish to fry than mandating that. We have a broken system in many ways, and a lot of things would have to be addressed. So if I have to go to work in Liberia and my child is at home, how can I mandatorily breastfeed this child if I don't have access to the things that would be needed to preserve my breast milk? You get what I'm saying? I do think that in many instances, breast milk is best. Do not get me wrong. I do believe that. If you can and you are able to breastfeed your child. There are some people that can't, not because of reasons of their own. They don't produce enough breast milk. What else? They may have diseases that can't be they don't want transmitted to the child, like HIV, because it can be transmitted in breast milk. There are just some reasons that make people unable to breastfeed. So we can't, I guess the bill says everyone that's able to, maybe, so it wouldn't make those people do it, but we can't enforce something. It's like, to me, putting a Band-Aid on healthcare. Yes, they say babies that are not breastfed, the government spends over $200,000 on those babies because of their illnesses. I'm not debating that, but I feel like this bill could be better served with the healthcare system, looking at the healthcare system, finding ways to improve it, finding ways to improve living conditions of children or mothers, finding out why the childbirth mortality rate is so high, and educating women on why breast milk is so important, having workshops, classes, giving them the tools that they need. But you can't pass a bill like this in a nation like Liberia without education and without looking at, we got plenty of things to worry about. We got LEC, it's unstable. We got the crime rate. We have a lot of things, and we took our time to pass a bill. And like I said, how are you going to enforce this? Well, you have the TayTay police. Is there going to be a special TayTay police unit looking around women to see whether they're breastfeeding? We have to think about things like this when we do it. So let me know what you think. I was a little passionate in this video. This is not to discount anything, but I just think that we do have bigger issues on a grand scheme that we should be talking about. And I think this is just putting a Band-Aid on a bigger issue. So this is Joy from She Speaks Too. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, and make sure you subscribe, and I will see you later.